Hello. So in my last video I decided to play through Stardew Valley with a bunch of different mods installed. I think there was around 30 something in total, there was at least 30 anyway. In my infinite wisdom, I decided that for my next playthrough, aka this one, I am going to use even more expansion mods than I did in that playthrough. Consider it a super expanded playthrough rather than a super modded one. Now, I am going to be using mods that aren't expansions. So things like the Healy's mod, immersive sprinklers, and a mod that lets you regenerate your energy by sitting on a chair. Yeah, I don't know why I went for that one, but I thought it might be fun to include it and see what it's about. The following are all of the mods I have installed and will be playing through during spring. Stardew Valley Expanded, Ridgeside Village, Cape Stardew, Sunbury Village, East Scarp along with the Sword and Sorcery mod, Stardew Druid, Adventurers Guild Expanded, and Cornucopia Crops. There's a reason why I said I'll be using these mods specifically during spring. I plan on adding more as soon as spring comes to an end. The first 28 days are sort of like a test drive, and I'll be adding a lot more mods as soon as spring comes to an end. So with that in mind, if you have any ideas or suggestions or recommendations for what mods I should add to the playthrough, please feel free to mention them in a comment. I will look into literally every single expansion mod that gets recommended, and there's like a 99% chance that I will add it to the playthrough. I won't be setting a limit on how many expansion mods I'll be using. I'll basically keep adding them until my laptop says no, and by that I mean until the game refuses to load, or until my laptop catches fire, whatever happens first. Hopefully it's the first one and not the second one. One more thing before we get started. I'll be uploading 1 week per video, and I already have all of spring recorded, so new mods will be added in episode 5. You can find links to every mod I'll be using in this video down in the description as always, and without any further ado, I hope you enjoy the very first week of spring. Day 1 begins as it usually does. I clear out a ton of weeds and grass and all of that stuff before taking a break to check on my mailbox. We have received a copy of the Sword and Sorcery Handbook, 2nd edition. We have a second letter to read. This one I'm familiar with this one. Eloise. That's right, Eloise, not Elwa. I did a playthrough last year, I think it was, where I came across this letter and I pronounced her name as Elwa for some reason. That was a very, very humbling experience. I learned a lot from that one incident. Anyhoomst, she is a villager in East Scarp and says I should visit her and her father. I walk into the cave and say hello to the effigy. This is the first character we meet in the Stardew Druid mod. He was crafted by the first farmer and is being sustained by the old powers. He has spent many years in this valley. He tells me all about the Circle of Druids. It was formed by farmers who lived here many, many moons ago. We maneuver our way up into the grove. I tell him I wish to know more about the circle and potentially even join it. He's on board, but I have to pass a test. The standing stones were very important to the circle. If I want to have even a chance of joining, then I must get their approval. Let's get to it, shall we? I notify the stones that a magical scarecrow told me that I'm special. Surprisingly enough, that goes over very well with the stones. They allow me to become a member of the circle. They also give me a sword. It is infused with the energy of the Weald. The effigy tells me that I now bear authority over the weed and the twig. I should use my new power to do something. This is the first of many lessons we are going to receive. Before I complete it, I interact with a stone to get the mortar and pestle. I can now make potions. I only have the lowest level of potions unlocked right now, but even they are very powerful. Here is what the Weald power allows me to do. I can destroy rocks, weeds, and wood. This is a very easy way to get a ridiculous amount of wood, fiber, stone, and spring seeds. One beautiful feature of the Stardew Druid mod is that using the Weald power gives you a chance to get the seeds I mentioned. These seeds don't function like they do in vanilla Stardew Valley though. They can sprout into literally any crop. Maybe not ancient fruit and sweet gem berries actually. I don't think they're included now that I think about it. But every other crop should be on the table. I make a chest and toss my inventory into it. Then I turn my attention to the sword and sorcery mod. I like this. I don't know what it does exactly, but I like it. I spend a couple of minutes using the wield power, building up a nice supply of seeds as I do so. I shan't be planting these seeds, however. No, I have bigger plans for these. I sell them, and take a look at everything being sold here in the shop. There are quite a few new items, courtesy of the Cornucopia mod. As tempting as it is to buy all of them, or at least one of them, that's not exactly what I came here to do. What I do is I buy the first backpack upgrade. I get the feeling I'm going to need all the inventory space I can possibly get my hands on. Over in the forest, I meet a wolf called Bee. They somehow know that I am the new farmer in town. They describe me as being cut from a different cloth, which is true. In fact, there are very few things I am scared of here in Stardew Valley. I think the one thing I am afraid of is the scorpion carpfish over in the desert, and the octopus. The octopus as well. Those two fish are nightmare fuel for me. I don't like them. Not one bit. Moving from one mod to the next, I head south and enter a wonderful area known as Cape Stardew. Now, I have the benefit of this being my second time using the Cape Stardew mod, which means I know where and how to get some very useful items. The journey to acquire those items begins in the cave on the beach. The journey to acquire those items also ends in the cave on the beach, as Marlin will not allow me to go any further. I have to unlock the regular mines over in Pelican Town and get a bit of experience inside there first. I go right past the entrance to the cave, then up, then left, where I find another cave. Once again, I am being blocked from going any further. My pickaxe simply isn't strong enough to break the boulder that is blocking my path. Oh well, we have a lot of other things to do anyway, so this isn't the worst thing in the world. The house here is owned by one Annetta, but alas, we can't actually go inside her house because we aren't good enough friends with her yet. Things are not going well for us right now. What I can do, however, is go to the top left of this area. I find an old abandoned cabin. If I wanted to, I could very well fall asleep inside here, but I don't, so I won't. I find a couple of potatoes, lovely, before going south. It is time for us to go swimming. I know I'm being very specific with directions, but this map can be a bit complicated to navigate at the very beginning. I want to be very clear where I'm going and how I'm getting there, just in case anybody is playing along and using the Cape Stardew mod and maybe can't find a certain area themselves. I find a cliff which contains a cave. A cliff cave. Bioluminescent mushrooms can be found on the inside, and forage items can spawn up top, but there's nothing here today unfortunately. I step inside the magic circle, which brings me back to the cave on the beach. I have a bit of fun with the wield power before finally returning to the farm, where I have even more fun with the wield power. Now that I'm talking about the wield power, I'm very curious as to how the Stardew Druid mod in general is going to affect every other expansion mod. You can become very powerful with everything you learn and obtain with this mod. I'm really looking forward to using these powers in Cape Stardew and Stardew Valley Expanded and, well, every other mod really. Just before midnight, I decide that my energy is simply not high enough. So I take a much needed break by sitting in a chair. Oh, okay, yeah, so the potions I unlocked. You can get some nice bonuses by drinking them. One of those bonuses is the ability to get a critical hit with a tool. In this case, we can potentially chop down a tree with our axe in one hit. It depends entirely on how lucky we get with the critical hit though. It might happen, but it also might not happen. You just have to get lucky really. I hit level 1 in mining, unlocking the stone drill. This is from the automated mining drills mod. There are a lot more drills for us to unlock in the future. I don't know how they work, but I suppose that's the exciting part. Finding out how they work. Day 2 wow, we spent a lot of time talking about day 1. Day 2 begins with a visit from Clinton. He gives me the crafting recipe for the furnace. Lewis has sent me a letter. He tells me I can use the mailbox to send items to villagers. Yeah, I've used this mod many times before. I think it's been part of every playthrough I've done since the moment I found it. It is, of course, the mail services mod. Diala and Durya from the Sunbury Village mod have invited me to their cafe. But it isn't a regular cafe, no, it is a cat cafe. I chop down trees before speaking with the effigy. It is time for lesson number 2. He tells me to call out to the bushes, the trees and the grass. They might offer me a portion of their bounty if I do. Basically, I have to use the willpower while I'm standing near any of the objects he mentioned. I accidentally used the power to dig up an artifact spot. I get the Stone of Yoba. I didn't mean to get this item, but I'll take it, thank you. A large portion of the morning is spent walking around, simply working on the lesson I was given. Here's a look at the potions I mentioned, by the way. That first column of potions only gives health and energy. The second column is what gives the bonus effects, like the critical hit thing I was talking about last night. We also have a satchel. The items in here can be dropped by random animals and spirits. The main way of getting them is by using your powers near bushes, trees, and water sources. Like I've been doing this entire morning, basically. I want to circle back to the potions for a moment while I do some foraging and complete lesson number 2. Parsnips are now incredible because of the Stardew Druid mod. One of them can be turned into a potion that gives 40 energy. So if you grow 100 parsnips and turn all of them into that potion, that's 4,000 energy ready to be used the moment you need it. Turning our attention to the beach, I meet William. He gives me a lovely item known as the fishing rod. I find a peppercorn. This is from the cornucopia mod, I imagine. I haven't seen this one before, so I think it has to be from that mod. I sit down and take it easy for a while. I've already done a lot this morning. But as street poets and philosophers Cage the Elephant once said, there ain't no rest for the wicked. So off we go to Sunbury Village. I explore the entrance before actually entering the town. I was looking for forage items, but I didn't find any, which is disappointing, but what can you do? Then I enter the village itself. I like this place. It feels... I don't know, it just feels nice. I don't know how else to describe it. I enter the shop and take a look at the daily special. 70 bluegrass starter for 30,000 gold. Okay, yeah, that's a bit out of my budget right now. Ari, the owner of this shop, insults my current financial situation. Excuse me? I'm going to let that slide this one time, alright? But you're on thin ice. Very thin ice. I find a house at the bottom of this main area, the town center I suppose. I decide to be awfully nosy and read a letter. To my dearest Elias, I could never get the courage to say this to you face to face, and I hope you could forgive that. No. Wow, okay, I am reading this in the complete wrong way. This is a lot sadder than I'm making it seem. This is a very sad letter. It sounds like one of Elias's parents is saying goodbye to Elias. For whatever reason, they can't be around anymore. They've had to leave town. That's what it sounds like to me, anyway. There's a dog outside the house. Their name is Cleo. I'm glad there's a dog outside. That's something good after that upsetting letter. Maybe not upsetting, but, emotional, I guess. The rest of this area here is occupied by unoccupied houses. So, in short, there's really nothing else in this location. So I go even further south where I find more houses and a cave. Purple mushrooms can be found inside here. Yoink, thank you very much. There's also an old barn and yeah, that's about it for this area really. I return to the center of town where I meet Jumana and Mi Young. I sort of wander around aimlessly for a while, before eventually stumbling into the cat cafe. Durya is eating cookies and Diala is making cookies. Durya says I should have a cookie. I eat a cookie. I am very happy with the way this cutscene is going. I just got a free cookie. They tell me about the food and the drinks being sold here. Believe me when I say I will take a look at those very, very soon. Before I do so, I say hello to Blake and Leanne. The items being sold here are very good, in terms of health and energy I mean. But for some reason you can only buy one of each item per day. If I want to buy 2 cookies, I should be allowed to buy 2 cookies. I head north up towards the mountains where I meet Maya. She works alongside Silas in the blacksmiths. There isn't a lot I can do up here right now because of how late in the day it is. I do find a cave, but just like the one in Cape Stardew, I can't actually do anything inside here yet. First Merlin stopped us from exploring, and now Ophelia is doing the same thing. I just want to explore. By the way, Ophelia is like the Lewis of Sunbury Village. Except she doesn't have any of Lewis's bad qualities, and there are a lot of them. I don't like Lewis. I think he's a scallywag, and not the good kind of scallywag, by the way. Anyway, I enter the museum owned by Elias. He requires my help. There are currently no artifacts or minerals on display, mainly because he hasn't found any artifacts or minerals. And so we begin part 1 of a 3-part quest to make this museum look like an actual museum. I have to find 6 minerals, which shouldn't be too bad. I do have to wait until I can enter the mines here to get started though, so we can't really do anything with this quest right now. I say hello to a few villagers back in Pelican Town, and that is the end of day 2. Day 3 begins in the same way the previous 2 days did. I receive lesson number 3 from the effigy. He wants me to use the wield power to help my crops grow. This power is a game changer. Allow me to demonstrate. I've made a lovely, dare I even say beautiful area right here where I can plant all of the seeds I found during the previous 2 days. I then channel the energy of the wield. Every crop has advanced quite a bit in the whole process of growing. The bad news is this requires a decent chunk of energy. The good news is the Druid mod allows you to automatically consume potions. I toss a few items into the shipping bin and take a seat for a moment. Then I walk over to Joja Mart. I buy 2 of each spring seed, but only the ones from vanilla Stardew Valley. I'm not going to touch the cornucopia seeds yet. I also grab 2 more blue jazz seeds. When I have more money, I'll happily go on a massive shopping spree. I plant everything I bought and use the wield power on them. I go for a swim and end up at the cliff cave. I find more of those bioluminescent mushrooms, but more importantly, a lot of forage items have spawned up here. The beach strawberry sells for 500 gold, I believe, so it's absolutely worth grabbing any and all of them as soon as you see them. I spend the remainder of the day fishing. I made over 3,000 gold when all was said and done. Pretty much none of that money was from fishing though. I just threw random items away. We have received a letter on day 4 and it is annoying me. Yeah, the color of the writing is different from how it usually is and I don't really know why. It isn't a big deal at all, but I really don't like the vibe of this letter. I'm not vibing with it. It has questionable aura. It does contain a cooking recipe though, so I suppose it isn't the worst letter to get. Somebody named Style Sidel has sent me this one. I don't know who that is. I assume they're from the Cornucopia mod? Yeah, the more I think about it, I've never seen this name in Stardew Valley before, so I believe it's from the Cornucopia mod. Maybe. Carrots are ready for harvest, only 3 of them, but I mean, that's still pretty good, right? One of the potions gives me a chance to get a critical hit with a watering can. This is, in my opinion, the most useful of all the critical hits. It makes it so much easier and so much faster to water all of your crops. Speaking of things associated with the Druid mod, let's go talk to the effigy. Lesson number 4 has been obtained. We have to use the wield power to convince the wild to sprout new shoots and buds. That seems easy enough, and it is. I channel the power of the wield to make wood, fiber, stone, and forage items spawn. Twilight feathers from the Sunbury Village mod can also appear, which I wasn't aware of. I like this. I like the cohesion between Stardew Druid and Sunbury Village going on here. It's nice to see. I also get tulips and blue jazz. Oh, and rocks that contain gems can spawn. I even got a jade from one of them. And Netta from the Cape Stardew mod is here, so I talk to her. Hello. Lewis wants a catfish? No. I invest all of my money in parsnip seeds. I return to the farm where I plant everything. I'm trying to keep the farm looking at least a little bit presentable. I don't think I'm doing a very good job, if I'm being honest. I'm just putting down wood pathways and nothing else. I didn't think this through. I should be putting more effort into this if I really do want to make the farm look good. But I'm not going to because I'm a bit lazy like that. Marnie is here on day 5. She has a cat with her. The cat wants to live on my farm. I mean, I'm not going to say no. I've never said no to this. Yeah, you can live here. Of course you can. I adopt the cat and I call it Yugi. A group of parsnips are ready for harvest along with spinach, basil and garlic. I think those crops came from the mixed seeds I planted. Or was it the spring seeds? It could be either one. I convert all 20 of my parsnips into potions before reading a letter from Mom. She has sent me some cookies. Thank you. Apparently the mines are open today. I won't lie, I lost track of time and didn't even realize today is day 5, so yeah, I think we just found what we're going to spend the rest of the day doing. Nice. I talked to Marlin to receive the rusty sword, but I won't be using it as the stones in the grove gave me a much better sword. But thank you anyway, alright, I am grateful for it, it's just useless and you shouldn't have given it to me, get out of my sight. No, I'm just kidding, sorry. Another cutscene plays right after this one. I've never seen this cutscene before. I go down a ladder into the mines and am ambushed by a group of slimes. Things are looking dire for a moment, but then, out of nowhere, somebody appears. I don't know who this is. They defeat all of the monsters, saving me from what I'm sure would have been a complete catastrophe. They introduce themselves as Mateo. They give me an energy tonic, neat, thank you, and tell me to be very, very careful down here. Don't tell me what to do. Mateo tells me that they live over on the beach in East Scarp, and with that, they leave the mines. Speaking of the mines, the wheeled power makes things a lot easier for us down here. I can use my power to make stone, wood, and fiber appear. Then I use that exact same power to blow everything up. This makes finding staircases so much quicker. I'm getting ores, diamonds, geodes, and ancient seed, so many wonderful items. I make it down to floor 10 where I find a pair of boots. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to go into the cave in Cape Stardew now, but I'm gonna find out. A rare seed is being sold at the traveling cart. I really should buy that while I have the chance, just to be safe. But I can't be bothered right now, so I'm gonna keep moving towards Cape Stardew. I find many forage items on the beach before entering the cave. I have devastating news to share with you all. I'm not allowed to go inside. I have to join the Adventurers Guild first, and then I can go in. I'm not happy. Things get even worse as I head inside the second cave that I found here. You know, the one with the boulder that I can't break? I tried to use a cherry bomb to break the boulder, but it doesn't work. So, not only have I wasted a bit of time here, I've also wasted a cherry bomb. Aww. I finish off the day by grabbing all of the forage items in and on the cliff cave. I feel like my luck has finally turned around because I just found 4 strawberries. I earned 3,500 gold from the various items that I threw into the shipping bin. Basil is ready for harvest. Is it basil or basil? I'm gonna stick with basil. I think that's right anyway. Basil is ready for harvest on day 6, along with over 100 parsnips and a couple of garlic. Beautiful. I turn all of the parsnips into potions. We should be good on energy for at least the next couple of days, if not an entire week. I grab a twilight feather before being turned away from the mines in Sunbury Village. Apparently, I need more combat experience. I just want to explore the mines. I suppose all we can really do is go through the mines in Pelican Town. I defeat enough green slimes to make Marlin happy, which means I am now an official member of the Adventurers Guild. I reach floor 20 where I find a sword that I will literally never use. Then I go inside the guild for the first time. If I can defeat 54 more insects, then I'm gonna get the insect head weapon. It is a lot better than the sword I'm currently using, so I would very much like to get my hands on it. Before I do anything else, however, I want to get started on making bars. I water my crappie whoppies before returning to the cave in Cape Stardew. A spirit talks to me when I enter the room. They've been waiting specifically for my arrival to the valley. They want me to bring them a maple seed, a common mushroom, and blue jazz. In return, they will illuminate the path ahead. I think I already have all 3 of those items, so I just have to go get them, which wouldn't be a problem for most people, but I'm very lazy, so I don't know if I'm going to do that. I want to explore this cave even a tiny bit, despite how dark it is inside here. As tempting as it is for me to be like, oh, you know, I used a cherry bomb to break the rock on the rock crab monster, and oh, look what happened, the wall crumbled behind it. I'm not going to do that because I would be lying. I've already played through this mod, so I knew exactly what I was doing here. I put down a cherry bomb, and I use a cherry bomb to reveal a hidden area. I go inside, open up a chest, and find the Sky Oak Ring. It gives me +3 luck, speed, and defense. This ring, in combination with my Heelys, really does make me a force to be reckoned with. I would not like to be any monster inside this cave, or indeed in any other location in the valley right now. There are also a lot of mushrooms inside here. All of them have been added to my inventory. I eventually went back outside and ran into a very, very scary and tough looking skeleton. Now, I didn't run away, I just wasn't there anymore. I hit level 4 in mining and unlocked the clay, coal, and quartz drills. Day 7 begins with the harvesting of potatoes, parsnips, blue jazz, and tulips. I think it's time to expand our range of crops growing on the farm here. That's right, we are going on a shopping spree today, and that shopping spree begins at the traveling cart. Or at least it would have begun there if anything I wanted was actually being sold, but nothing was, so yeah, I'm sorry for wasting your time. Oh wait, no, never mind, there's a rare seed being sold here. Yoink! I donate all 3 items to the spirit in the cave and receive 5 gold ore for doing so. The real reward is what has been done to the cave. To be more specific, I can actually see where exactly I'm going inside here now. The enemies inside here are very much a mixed bag, that's for sure. Some are easy to deal with, others I'm doing literally 1 damage to. Thankfully, I have enough potions to run past the enemies and not really worry about how many times they hit me, so that's good. I defeat a rock monster, it gives me iridium ore and a crab cake. Don't get me wrong, alright, this is a very dangerous place. But the items you can get here are definitely worth the risk. I head right and jump headfirst into the water. I swim all the way down, jump back up onto a platform and go left. A pirate and a skeleton are standing beside a gold key. As soon as they see me, they grab the key and run away from me. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Where do you think you're going, huh? I follow them and find a waterfall. It is time for me to donate 3 more items. I need a frozen tear, a coral, and a nautilus shell. The first 2 items are fine, I can easily get my hands on both of them. The nautilus shell is not fine, however. In fact, I can't complete this bundle until winter because that's when nautilus shells begin spawning. So as of right now, we're literally locked out of completing this bundle. I don't think it's possible to get this done until winter. Wallowing in misery, I head further down and end up in a room with not just 1 green ghost, but many of them. I want nothing to do with these enemies, so I skedaddle out of the area as fast as my legs will carry me. The effigy has given me lesson number 5. I can now throw bombs and pieces of stone rather than just placing the bombs on the ground. Cool. Lesson number 6 is given to me at the same time. The willpower can be used to hit enemies. And that is exactly what I'm being told to do. I've also been given the crow hammer. If I interact with one of these standing stones, I can break open every single geode in my inventory in like a split second. All of the items that were inside the geodes will then be placed in a little storage area, and then I can collect all of the items from that standing stone. That is going to be very handy in the future. Right, okay, I have good news and bad news. The good news is I'm finally able to enter the Sunberry mines. The bad news is my powers don't really work inside here. They stun enemies and they can break open rocks that are already here. but I can't use my power to make rocks and wood and fibers spawn. I don't know why, but it just doesn't work inside here. I also can't hit any of the enemies for that lesson I was given this morning. I don't spend too long inside here. I basically collected all of the ores and gems on the first floor. Then I left and went over to the mines in Pelican Town instead. My power works flawlessly inside here. I can even use it to make rocks fall down from the sky. They do a decent amount of damage to all of the enemies inside here. It usually defeats them in 1 or 2 hits at the very most. I have found myself on the dark floors. Ordinarily, I would not be having a jolly good time on these ones. But things are certainly not ordinary. And so I find myself breezing through floors 30 through 35. I spend most of the day defeating insects. Just after midnight, I defeat number 80, which means the insect head has been unlocked. I go and grab it from the Adventurers Guild, feeling mighty proud of myself as I do. And with that, the first episode of the super expanded playthrough has come to an end. I feel like we've done a decent amount of interesting things so far. It's going pretty well, I think. Like I said at the beginning, I've already recorded the entire rest of spring, so if there's any mods you want to see me add to the playthrough, by all means feel free to mention them in a comment. I would really appreciate any recommendations, like there's no limit to the amount I'll add. I'm planning on adding as many as I can until my game says no, basically. I know I said there's going to be a heavy focus on expansion mods, but if there is a mod that you want to see me use for this playthrough and it isn't an expansion mod, that's not a big deal. Don't worry, you can still mention it in the comment. So yeah, week 1 is done and dusted. Episodes 2, 3, and 4 will feature all of the same mods that I used in this one, but every episode after those will have all of the mods that you wonderful people recommend to me. Anywhoomst, thank you so much for watching the beginning of this magical adventure. Until next time, stay hydrated, look after yourself, and have a good one.